Section 3. Clovatec Inc. declares bankruptcy. On February 20th, 2009, almost a year after the 2007 financial statements of Clovatec Inc. were released, a news article surfaced indicating that Clovatec Inc. filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy due to a sudden significant decrease in orders from stores selling their products. Details on an inventory fraud scheme emerged, and it became evident that employees had been consistently inflating revenues to meet projections and conceal significant declines in demand for their products for the past year. Specifically, individual sales teams were distributing excess inventory to retailers near the end of each quarter to meet short-term revenue projections. The sales teams were able to convince retailers to overstock the products with incentives, such as highly favorable credit terms of 6 months or more with no interest. The scheme was uncovered when significant decreases in demand for the product caught up with the company, as retailers were no longer able to sell the product in their stores and stopped ordering more stock from the sales representatives. This scheme is considered fraudulent since the employees are receiving excess compensation based on intentionally manipulated revenue figures. Multiple employees admitted their participation in the scheme to inflate sales revenues. The discovery that this manipulation of sales revenue figures had been occurring since the beginning of 2007 prompted the company to decrease their 2007 reported sales revenues by over $200 million, resulting in an overall loss of $10 million for the year. The restatement was also accompanied by management's disclosure of a material weakness in internal controls over inventory, stating that internal controls established by the top-level managers within the company were ineffective. Management had overemphasized meeting short-term profit goals at the sacrifice of internal control at the sales division level, and did not establish proper controls in place to ensure that employees did not exaggerate sales at the division level. This weakness contributed to the fact that this fraud was able to occur without being detected, and that the financial statement figures of Clovatec Inc. were substantially overstated. ABC CPA firm had discovered this particular deficiency in the internal controls established by top management during their audit of internal controls for the 2007 financial statements and reported it to the audit committee. The auditor was particularly concerned that there may be excess pressure placed on employees to overstate revenues and that the financial statements could be misleading as a result. The issue was brought up in an audit committee meeting with the auditors and Clovatec executives present to determine whether the deficiency in internal controls warranted further investigation and should be disclosed in the audit report. In this audit committee meeting, the Clovatec executives argued that there was no evidence to suggest that any errors existed in the financial statements and presented evidence of a formal written policy that clearly instructs employees to record income only when it is appropriate. The audit committee sided with the Clovatec executives, arguing that the existence of the policy indicates that internal controls are appropriately in place to prevent manipulation of revenue figures. Without specific evidence to argue otherwise, the auditor agreed and did not disclose any issues with internal controls over revenue recognition in their audit reports for 2007.